Hey there, welcome back. How you doing? Okay, what I've got here is the Ed209 so far with the upper leg completed. And what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this upper leg here, all of it, and we're going to move it across to here. So what I'm going to do is just shift and grab and move this to the right area, which is here, and then just click copy, not instance. Okay, now jump back into perspective, just hit F3 there, and what I'm going to do is just rotate this on the local, making sure angle snap selected. Do it 180 degrees, that's all we have to do. Okay, and now they're both facing the correct direction, which is kind of important. Okay, now I'm going to look around my model, just making sure it's okay, and we're going to do a little bit of work now over here on our layers. So I'm going to make a new layer, which I'm going to add everything over here to. So if I just click new layer and I add everything to it, this is going to be our left leg. Okay, now I'm going to do the same over here. Make a new layer, put all this stuff in, rename it right leg. Okay, now there's nothing in here, so I can delete it, or here, or here. As you can see, all our stuff is in there and there. In our default, we've still got our basics, and our tools, we've still got our tools, so everything's going okay so far. Okay, what I'm going to do now is do some work on the hip. Now, as you know, there's various different versions of Ed209. The version that I've been working from has been a mixture of the studio version and a model kit version. Now we're about to deviate into, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on the way you look at it, the 3D Palace version. Now the reason for that is I've got a solid body object. I'm not wanting to mix soft body into the modeling process. So because of this, on the actual references that I have for this part here, if I don't have a whack-on plugged in, is actually kind of soft rubber, yeah? And it's flexible, so it allows down movement and up movement, yeah? And this was obviously kind of the studio or developer's answer to having some sort of armoured rigid plastic to cover the joins going on. Now we don't have that option, so we're going to be using the option of ball join. It's simple, but it's effective and it's going to work, so that's what we're going to stick with. So what I'm going to do is go into perspective, and I want to work just from one side. And before I do, let's find out exactly how big this should be. So I'm going to grab this, go to my scale tool, oops, and narrow it down, and we can see there that that's the narrowest point. Now obviously the problem I have with this, because we're kind of changing the recognizable design now, is that it doesn't look particularly heavy duty at the position that it's at. But that's okay, we're going to change that soon. So I'll add extra parts in to make it look more sturdy. It's basically a big bit of fakery, so don't worry too much about it. Okay, so we're going to make a new layer. I'm going to call this hips. I'm going to have to clean my mouse. Mouse cleaned. Okay, rename hips. And just shut that off. Okay, now actually go back into the layers tool and hide off the bits I'm not using. There, and I'll hide off the right leg as well. Actually no, the left leg. There we are. Now another thing I'm going to do is just start building our scaffold out from this. So first things first, I'm going to go with a box, auto grid it, just start it round about here, and bring it down. There we go. Like this. Okay, now with this built, I'm going to go into the properties here, see through and freeze. Make things a tiny bit easier for me. Next, I'll start getting this into the right position. So this is going to be our H hips. To differentiate, this is our high polygon piece. Grab here and go to the move tool. Move that to round about there. Next I'm going to go here and in the move tool I'm going to move that to round about there, like so. Now we can see the shape of the polygons, yeah, so rather than pulling a curve out, what I'm going to do is just conform to this shape and then smooth it some. So I'm going to extrude it straight down like that, and then again like that, and then again like that. Okay, and then I'm going to use each of these just to bring in these edges until they're in the right position. Just making them conform to our scaffold mesh. There we are. Now this one. Plenty of time to straighten it up later. Just really pulling in a kind of rough shape for what we want. There we go. Right, now this one. And then this one, because we have one too many polygons going on, I'm going to do a target weld here, like so, and like so. There we go. Okay, let's check out the model. Looks about right. Go to the front viewport, left viewport. Okay, now I'm going to pull these to the right width. Turn off target weld first. I'm going to press G to get rid of my grid. Because I've restarted Max and loaded my scene and it's gone straight to default settings for everything. Okay. Looks about right. Let's just do some tweakage. There we go. Just minor stuff, yeah, real minor. There we are. And there. And then in just a moment we'll pull the chamfers out. Once I've got the various bar lengths sorted out over here, which I'm going to use a cylinder for. So, cylinder. I'm going to pull it out. This is frozen, so I don't need to worry too much. And bring it out to there. And I'm going to pull the height in. Okay, and make it one height segment and 22 sides. Right, I'll come back to that because it's going to be attached to this soon. Possibly reduce the radius a little bit actually, maybe 0.24. There, that seems better. Okay, convert to Edward Poly. Okay, that's fine. Right, so we don't really need the scaffold now that I've got this basic piece built. Well, actually we do. We need this top piece. So I was telling a porky there. So I'm going to make a cylinder again. Pull it out from here. And just make it line up. sure I'm in local. There we go. Right, that's fine. Now I can lose the scaffold. So I'll just unfreeze all. There we go, it's gone. Right, next. Start kind of pulling all these pieces together. Most of this at the moment is just kind of defining the shape we need. Okay, we're going to do some chamfer work. Let's chamfer that nice like that. Try and keep the chamfers moderately even. There we go. There's more of a space up there, you see. Okay, that looks nice. Now, select here, do a loop. It's not going to go all the way down, I'll just select the polygons. It is a nuisance, but one of those things. There are some minor detail points to put in this as well, so okay, and here, and delete. Right, that's fine. Next, I'm going to go straight through the middle of this and do a connect. Knock off this side. Okay, now I'm going to attach this piece here and select this one. And what I'm going to do is extrude, not even extrude, just move to around about there. And from here I'm going to draw out a sphere. Pull it out in the middle here. Pull it to the end of the sphere. Okay, you've got to make sure it's not too big, otherwise it's going to be too big for the hip unit as well. That seems round about the right size. Now I'm going to hemisphere it. This will give me a chance to line it up better. Just generally messing around with the settings here, just to try and get it lined up as best I can. There we can see now where they're starting to line up. Okay. Should be fine. Convert to Edel Poly. Make a copy of it as well, which I'm going to call copy. Like so. This is going to become the hip join, this first one, so I'm going to select this piece just here. Select our sphere, the one that isn't called copy. There it is. Actually, I think we should probably hide copy while we're doing this. So just hide selection. There we are. Right. Easy way of selecting all these inside polys is grab that and just shrink. Drop into perspective. Okay. My max is darting around a little bit here, so I'm going to extrude this until we get to this intersection point just here. like so. And then I'm going to end it just there, and I want a closed piece anyway, because this is a separate piece of geometry again, for the moment anyway. I'm going to attach these two together in a minute. Actually, yes, I'll delete that end piece. Having to think too much on the ball today, slightly worrying. Okay, next, go to my unhide all. No, I don't want to unhide all layers, I just want this piece. Copy. Copy seems to have done just that, and copied everything, which makes me suspect I made an instance, but not to worry. Go up to here and delete. Yeah, that's an instance. Ugh. Just make sure that we're not going to do that again this time. There. Okay, next I'm going to turn this inside out. I'm going to add that to this. Press H just so I can get it by name. There it is. Copy. Don't worry about some things not having names. They're going to be assigned names soon enough. Okay, now I'm going to isolate this. Okay. And we're going to start putting an outside on it. So I'll use the bridge tool at first. I mean, we can go all the way around the outside if you want. I have no idea if there's enough edges or not. That depends really on your patience as much as anything. Might as well have a look while I'm here. You know, I could have probably just counted them actually. It looks like there's going to be enough, but there's going to be a little bit of twisting going on. Still, why not? There you go, there's enough to do that many. May as well not have bothered really. Anyway, I'm going to cap up the rest. It was just idle curiosity, so bear with me. Okay, and that closes that piece out. Next, looking at my reference, I need to build a big chamfer on this ring, which is just here. So I'm going to control select by edge. Just look at this piece. Probably going to be easier to select using a loop. There's one. Now then, what's going on here? It looks like a extrovert. Yes, it is. Just do a target weld. Lucky we saw that. Or at least lucky I saw that. Loop now continues. There's Mr. Twitters. Obviously not realising he's off to the vet to have his beak trimmed next week. Poor little thing. Got him from a pet shop where obviously they'd never left him with a stone to sharpen and wear down his beak on. And so now he has to have his beak trimmed all the damn time. Poor thing. Okay, gonna bring this back to round about there. That's an extrude, not a chamfer. There we go. Like so. The rest of it will be managed by the edge checks tool, which I intend to use. Okay, looking over this again, there's a piece round about here. It's a detail piece, and as I know they love instanced geometry, the people who made this, I'm going to assume it is instanced geometry, as in it's the same on the other side. So just under halfway, it's there to there. Ring, and connect there. This will enable me to hollow out this area here, like so. Now I'm going to grab this edge here and here, hold shift, drag them back, and flatten. Now bring them back a little bit more. Okay, and then just do a quick weld. Now I can bridge these, and across the middle here do a connect, and then a quick target weld. Yeah, I'll target weld it this way. That won't break the shape of our actual thing. Now over here I'm going to bring these edges back. Just until I get this intersection here. And then I can do another target weld. And then grab there, and do a quick weld. Pull back. That gives me this shape here. Now with this shape, I want to round it out a little bit. It's one of those peculiar shapes, but go figure. Okay, I'm going to chamfer this. Now I'm going to have to use a manual chamfer in just a moment. So that chamfer I did originally was too large, so bring it down a bit. There we are. Now reduce them again. Maybe one more. Okay. Now then, over here, press F4, look at that shape. I mean, you know, the flat pieces there are so minor you may not see them, but if you want to tidy them up, and you probably do, if you're anything like me anyway, we'll run a cut from here all the way to there, and here all the way to there. Now, if I click out, you'll see it's pretty much straightened out those cuts. Yep. If you want to, you can then go and cut once more straight down the middle there, and then rebuild the polygons. That's entirely up to you. Okay. Now in here, in the piece I like to call made a rod for own back, I'll do a quick inset, just a very small one. That big will be enough. And then a tiny extrude. Click OK. And I'm going to flatten on local, which is one of the reasons I did that extrude business. See? Now I can pull out a few more little details into it. So start with a cylinder, draw on this line just here, convert to editable poly. I'm going to grow this out right now while I remember, and delete the back face. Okay, now nice simple piece here, so if your scale's small enough to do it manually, do it manually. I mean large enough, not small enough, sorry. Trying to avoid 90-degree angles when I can still. Press F3 so I can see what I'm doing, because I'm going to go inside the model a little bit. Let's grow that, and just bring that in a tiny bit. There we go. That way we reduce our 90-degree angle. Because doing normals on mechanical pieces is actually quite difficult compared to doing it on, for example, an organic piece. So it's mainly because straight edges really don't normal that well sometimes. So we're going to be really careful in the way that we do this. Try not to muck it up too much, you know what I mean? Now I'm going to grab this, and just look at this. I'm going to select here to here, do a quick connect, Evidently not going to do a quick connect, it says. Try again. Right, I must be doing something horribly, horribly wrong. Let's have a look. Oh god, I'm so dim. Forgot to include the central one in the connect. There we go. Right, turn off local. There we go. And just do that. Bring it right the way across. Oops. Grab this and this. Small inset. Just quickly check through some of my other references, because I'm pretty sure there'll be a much better. Yeah, it looks like an amalgamation of details in there, and I can't see too clearly what they are, which is fairly typical. Let's have a look. Yeah, all my references look different. How typical is that? So, what I'm going to do instead is pull out my helpful layer tool and unhide my tools. There's my tools over there. Right. This will give me a chance anyway to draw some detail into this that I wanted. So for this one, detail and riveting is going to be on the front and back. Remember I said we're doing this in a kind of... We've now left the Canon version, we've gone into the 3D Palace version. It may interest you to know, by the way, that we're well over like 50-60% of the modelling done. Okay, Max script, run script. Just check I'm still recording. Man, this is going fast. Okay. Go down to my projects and scripts. Set selection as source. Pick distribution object to large, medium, and inset. There we go. Now remember, you can place all three simultaneously, but it's messy, so don't. Start with the large one. Too large, so we'll try the next one down. That was too large too. But the third bowl of porridge was just right. There we go. Now over here. One here. And one here next to it. There we go. Turn it around on the back. Just find a good place for it. There and there. Check they're not too close. They're too close. There and there. There we go. Turn off place. Now we can go and start gluing them together. Now remember the general rules about cutting holes in our model. I'm going to need to make a nice area to build our cut in, so I'm just going to build some temporary polygons, and I'm going to make them ridiculously big so I can tell which ones they are, and this means that I can cap when I need to, which I otherwise wouldn't be able to. Okay, let's go into layer manager and re-hide our tools again. Reason being that I can now attach this stuff easier. There we are. Haven't added an absolute pile of detail onto this, kind of just enough, in my opinion. Now then, this could do with being raised a little bit, so just drop this into local. Raise it just a tiny bit. You can't do this outside of local because basically of the way that I've created it. I mean, you could use Screen, but it'd be a bugger and a half to line up. Okay, bridge there. And a quick cap. Pull back. Next. And delete a couple of polygons, one there and one there. We can do all these simultaneously pretty much. Bridge there. And there, and then here. Now go to the cap tool. There we go. Let's check that. That's fine. Spin around this side. Delete that. Bridge. Bridge. And then cap. Nice and simple. Okay, let's exit isolation mode again. And we can see pretty much what I've been working on here now. I'm going to go into material mode, simply because I find it kind of distracting having things different colours. Just apply this basic material colour to it. Okay, now I'm going to get rid of these extra helper polygons I used just for this bit. So there they go there. Back into perspective again. Okay, it's not bad so far. I mean, it is a thin hip, which is kind of not great. Ideally I put pistons and things into that. But like I said, there is a kind of a way we can go with this. So grab here. Okay, do a connect. Over to about there. And I'm just going to extrude this by local normal. Just not too much. Just enough to add this kind of ridge in. The ridge will give it a degree more solidity than it otherwise would have had. I could also put a cowling over the top if I thought that was going to help. It probably won't, unfortunately, but never mind. Right, another thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to attach these two parts here and here together. So before I do, I'm just going to go through here again, do a connect, pull it over to this end. I need to reduce these in size, you see, so do an extrude, pull it in a bit. There we go. Right. Now here, this is sphere 1 and this is upper leg. Depending on whether or not you want to keep them separate is entirely up to you. I'm going to basically attach them together. It means recopying a little bit, but I'll live with that. So just looking at my model again. I'm going to take this, take my upper leg name, and attach that onto there. Isolate it. Now if I select here, I can grow it, which will be going to make things a little bit easier, because I can just delete that out. Now then there's a little artifact in here. That's just where my edge is. That's fine, because I can make this a little bit narrower just here by selecting this polygonal ring. So I'm going to loop that, delete it, because I didn't need it anyway. Right, now I'm going to bridge here and here, and I'll just do it on the other side. It doesn't really matter too much which edge I use. It means I can now cap this pretty much. Like that. Now then, looping this is going to be a nuisance. I'm going to have to manually select these. The reason I want to is because I need to chamfer these edges. So, go around them. Zen and the art of chamfer maintenance. What joy. The reason is, however, this is going to become suddenly, from a rigging and animating point of view, a whole lot easier. Because we'll be controlling it from the hip. It just means a case of recopying this to the other side again later on. And if I forget, you can email me and tell me. Dear Chris, your tutorial was terrible. All I learned was how you make lots of mistakes. You are a rubbish author. Lots of love. Right, hang on. We've got a piece over here that isn't deselect. Yeah, we have got a piece over here that seems to be problematic. And I can see why as well. We've got an intersection going on. Let's just delete that. There, look, you can see it. So, let's go over here and delete that. And there's an interesting stubby little polygon thing there, which shows me that the cap didn't quite work the way it was supposed to. But not to worry too much. I'll do a create. There, to there, to there, to there, and double click. That'll create us this polygon. Now I can bridge this one. Or rather cap this one. Unfortunately, it means I'm going to have to select this piece again. But not to worry. Loop's selected a couple more pieces for us, even if it didn't select all of them. Try and get in and select this one, because it's being a bit of a nuisance. This is again an example of why the hell am I getting this problem. There. Extra blooming edge out of nowhere. The thing is, you have to remember that I'm kind of teaching and recording this live, and I hate doing cuts, and I much prefer fixing as I go on to, you know, doing 25 cuts to get an ideal, perfect take, which never ever happens in real life. As an example of this, I was once a COBOL programmer back in the dark days of the 1990s, and a guy I worked with who was a COBOL programmer said to me that there was a guy he knew, and he said that he was so good at programming and so good at not making mistakes that he would program an entire section of this code using COBOL and not make one compile error. So we all said fair play to you, off you go. And he did it, and it caused 700 plus errors, exactly the same number as there were lines in the code, because he'd added one space too many to the front of every piece of expression. The moral of the story there is we all make mistakes, basically. Top viewport and zoom, front viewport and zoom, left viewport and zoom. If we look there, there's a little bit of not quite lining up going on here. Now, it's very minor. I mean, real minor as well. So the question is, what am I going to do about it? Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do about it. I'm just going to move these verts down a little bit. And now it's not a problem anymore. As I was saying. Everyone makes a minor mistake now and again. Especially in the world of computer graphics. I don't think the problem was there, I think the problem was here. Let's have a look. Oh, you know what? I think it was actually both of them. No, it wasn't. It was that one. Cool. I fixed it. Right, that's good. Now, like I was about to say, I want to chamfer on this. Now that I've finished telling you the story of my life. Now, because I'm going to be doing a quick edge checks. Actually, no, I'm not doing edge checks. I don't need to. I can just literally do it manually. So, There's not enough here really for me to bother using edge checks. Awesome as it is, I'm so used to using it I didn't even think about it the old-fashioned way. Quick loop. Thank you. Quick chamfer. Really small one. There we go. That's that done. Okay, exit isolation mode again. So now we can see how this is kind of fitting into the side of there quite nicely. Now up here we've got pretty much the same sort of thing going on. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this piece using a symmetry modifier, because it'll sew it together again for me afterwards. Like so. Okay, now this top piece here, this has a radius of 0.402. So I'm going to make a sphere and give it a radius of 0.402. Okay, now I'm going to align the sphere to this. Lovely. Now I'm going to hemisphere it by 0.5. Not bad, even though it is upside down, unfortunately. Convert to edible poly. And on the local, I'm going to flip this 180 degrees. Like so. Okay, now I'm going to make a copy of it. So Control V and call this copy. Right. Our non-copied version first, which is sphere 2. I'm going to select all these pieces on the inside here. I know sometimes I go around things the long way, selecting stuff when I don't have to, by the way. But sometimes that gives me a chance to think about what I'm doing. Consider that. Okay, extrude up. Okay, that's fine. Now, get rid of cylinder. Where the heck cylinder is. There it is. Because we don't need it. I'm going to hide this for the moment. That just leaves me at this part, which I believe... Did I just hide copy? Yeah, that's copy. I need copy. So I'm going to hide sphere 2. Right. Good thing here is that I was going to delete this part anyway. So even though it unnecessarily extruded it, that's not the point. Now I can flip that. Do a quick inset. Just simply because I prefer it in this case. And then attach this. See, it's unfortunate, but there isn't actually a ton of detail in this piece anyway for the mechanics of how it works. And so I'm going to have to hope that the sheer goddamn awesomeness of Ed 201 hides a lot of the problems. Bridge. I think we've got a few too many verts going on. Let's have a look. Control A, do a weld. Yeah, we have. Now let's try doing this. That happens sometimes when you hemisphere. There'll be an invisible double vert there, so be very careful. Bridge. Okay, cap. And cap. Okay, and loop isn't going to happen. Grrr. Somewhat aggravating. But that's okay, I can just throw an edge checks on this entire piece, which I will in about 1 second. I just want to save it as a workbench first. so that if something goes horribly wrong, I can recover my workbench rather than having to rely on 3dsmax's recovery file, which is hit and miss sometimes. Okay, edge checks. Wait politely. Look out of window. Okay, I'm going to go to the standard edge checks, because I think the advanced one's just frankly a waste of time. There we go, as you can see it's chamfered everything I wanted it to. Convert it back to edible poly. Unhide all. Right. Now, rather amusingly, the sphere is still bloody instanced. But that's okay, we can fix it. Size heavily. So, how to repair if you just ballsed up this part? Well, I'm just going to manually do it. So I'm going to select here. I'm going to quickly flip it. Select the entire top part here. Cap it. And then I'm going to manually bevel it. A little bit up and out. A little bit up and in. Too much. Better. By the way, if you can't do this, then just recreate this step. You probably won't have cocked it up quite so magnificently as I just did there. Now I'm going to have to quickly nip over here and unhide default, just so that I can make sure it goes into the right part. Thankfully, and I thank my lucky stars, this part's pretty much hidden. But even though it is, I'm still going to have some fun pretending and making some superfluous details that I don't even need. Simply because I'm that hardcore. Wait until we get to the intersection point, which I can't see because I'm too low down. There, just sink it straight through to about there and delete the back polygons, and this will attach to the upper body. Oh, joy, joy, joy. Right, now we're going to unhide the other leg and make a copy of this part. So, 48 minutes. You know, I thought this part was going to take hardly any time. Layer manager. Unhide both legs. Righty and lefty. And delete that part. And I'm going to make a mirror. Let's click copy, which I'm going to drag to the right position. And yeah, I can tell the right position basically because it's 3 in like that. And if I look, yep, it's lined up on that leg correctly too, so yes, that worked. Hurrah. Okay, next I'm going to close my layer manager a minute, not for long, because I need to go back to it, because I need to do some renaming, because this is sphere 1 and sphere 2, and this needs to be upper leg 01, and this needs to be upper leg 02, like so. Next we need to assign an area for these, so back in the layer manager again, and this is right leg, so I'll add it to that. Left leg, add that. So now if I hide my hips, that's quite cool. Neds. Sorry. Was funny though. Right, so this means we now have a working kind of tilt pelvis. I know it's a little bit of a cheaty pelvis, and it's not really looking as strong as the rest of it. There's not a lot I can do there except add more superfluous detail later. Now I've already added a chamfer in this, or we should have done, so I'll quickly isolate it just to make sure. Yep, the chamfer's all added in. Okay, so Ed 209 is now starting to look slightly more promising. Okay, I have had a comment from one of my dudes on 3D Palace asking me to curve the lower toes more. This will be done, don't worry. Okay, I'll probably shove it in as an appendix. That way I don't have to come back to it straight away, because I do realise on looking at it, this front edge is too sharp. Far too sharp. Okay, so till next time, thanks for watching. See you in the next bit.